This is Dave Clifford, you're watching Live Prog, and I would like you to all very seriously consider coming to She in February next year in Cheltenham in the UK. It's a great show, it's a great place, and we guarantee you'll have a wonderful time.
We are here at the Boerderij with Mr. Alan Reid for Camorra this time. No?
Camorra? Yeah, Camorra? We're still trading under that name, yes. She the Musical.
She the Musical, yes. Can you tell a bit about what your part in the musical is?
Well, I play the part of Holly, who is, I suppose, your standard Victorian gentleman man of letters, an academic, but also an explorer, and he's basically the guardian of this young guy called Leo, who's basically there's given some clues that he must go to faraway Africa to pursue something about his past. And the two of them set off together. They're shipwrecked somewhere on the coast of Africa, and they find themselves in the lost city, which is ruled by Aisha, or She Who Must Be Obeyed. I mean, this is a traditional, it's actually a Victorian Edwardian novel which was very popular at the time, and in fact it's been made into film back in the late 60s, early 70s. And it's, it's a traditional adventure story, yeah? So we, Innocents Abroad, we turn up in the lost city and we have our adventures, and eventually we escape.
Okay, well, that's a very interesting story. Now, the musical was done a few years back already in Poland, was recorded for DVD. You also took it to South America for a few performances, and now in Holland for a bit of a different performance. Can you tell a little bit about
it? We've done, it's the thing is, the show keeps evolving. I mean, originally when I got involved, it was purely a recording project. When Clive approached me, will you sing some songs on a project? And then we had to do it for a live DVD. And so we did a sort of performance stroke musical thing, with a certain amount of costumes and such like. And then we went to Bolivia and did it for, really as a musical presentation with dancers and a full chorus and stage set, and that was really quite something. And tonight's performance is a bit of an odd one because it's kind of a bridge to another stage performance, a full stage performance we're doing in England in Cheltenham early next year. But this is kind of like She the Musical, the show. So this is kind of like more the songs, concentrating on the songs rather than being in full costume and having a full stage show and dancers and all that sort of thing. We're concentrating on the songs. So it's the four singers and a cut down band doing the best part of it. And Mr. David Clifford, who is a man of some distinction, is currently standing off camera trying to wind me up as much as possible. And I will, of course, deal with him later.
Alright, I'm just going to continue it like he's not there. No, I'm just going to say hello. Alan, in what way is this show different than doing a show with a band?
Well, actually tonight is more like doing a show with a band than any other part of doing this has been. But the biggest thing for me as a singer is when you're the singer in a band, you kind of, the band kind of has to follow you to an extent. You've got a certain amount of freedom with how you perform and how you move. But when you're working in something like, musically as structured as this is, and particularly when you've got other singers involved, all who are doing interlocking parts, you've got to be incredibly disciplined. I mean, I've never had to concentrate so much on a piece of music, particularly live, before.
Yeah.
It is quite hard work. You really have to listen to what everybody is doing, and you can't do what you want to do. You've got to be aware that you've got to lock in together, and that's quite hard. And we're lucky. I mean, with Tina and Agnieszka and David, everybody's pretty good singers, so it's actually quite a pleasure to. It's a different discipline. and it's actually quite, it's quite rewarding when you get it right. When you get 4 voices all singing in harmony, right spot on, and you sort of think, yeah, this sounds quite good, yeah. So that was the biggest thing. And also, I mean, obviously you're not performing it as a solo artist, so you don't jump around so much, you don't sort of use the stage in the same way, you are interacting with each other, and is a kind of almost like acting, which is kind of, it's very different from performing with a band. But yeah, it's a different thing to learn, and it's a different thing to be conscious of, but yeah, it's good.
Yeah, okay. And well, in February 2012, the She will be performed as a real musical at the Playhouse in Cheltenham. Is that even? Have you ever done something like that before?
Well, we did do the show in Bolivia, and that was a full-on performance with, like I say, with costumes, with stage set, with dancers, full choir, and that was a mammoth undertaking. I mean, I have worked a bit in theatre as a technician. So I understand that I've worked on musical shows and I got a kind of idea of how they work, and it was quite fun to be part of something like that, as a performer. And it was all interesting watching other stage crew put together a show like that. So it was nice to do it. It was a different kind of vibe, but you feel, rather than being the star of the show, you feel like you're part of this massive beast. You're just one tiny cog in a huge machine, and that's just it's. Sometimes you're just sort of blown away by the scale of it all. It's just, someone else.
Okay. Well, a little bit unrelated, but I'm very interested. You are working on solo work?
Yes, I am.
At what stage are you, or what's coming up?
Well, I've been working for a little while on an album, which is going to be called First in a Field of One, which is... I had been working on some material that didn't quite fit with the band that I used to be in, and when I suddenly found myself no longer with that band, then I kind of thought, what am I going to do? And I thought, well, maybe now is the time to try and finish that material and make something of it. So I've been doing that, and that's been pretty time consuming, because it's when you don't have the benefit of other musicians to bounce off, it's quite a lot to take on, particularly when you're sort of writing all the parts, the drum parts, the keyboard parts, the guitar parts, as well as the vocals, and trying to structure something, and to a point where you're ready to sort of go in a studio and we've done about 2/3 of that album now, but it's quite slow progress because I'm trying to fit it around the other things I do. In the meantime, I've started playing the odd gig, doing acoustic numbers, versions of songs that I played with other bands, and some new stuff. And I've been doing that just myself and an acoustic guitar, and a guy called Mark Spencer, you might know from 12th Night, who plays keyboards, guitars, bass, everything. He's a very talented bloke. And just the two of us, and actually another mate of mine occasionally as well, and we've been going out and playing the odd gig, and actually we're about to go out this November, some gigs with Arena and some gigs with Magenta. So it's just get myself back out there and feel what it's like to be to do it again. It's quite odd to do it after all that time in a band. It's quite strange to do it as a solo artiste, but needs must. So with that, those dates, I'm going to put out an acoustic EP, which is basically versions of the stuff we've been playing live, recordings of, because it's just nice to have them, and it's kind of a stepping stone to the album, which is again quite different from what I've previously done. Not quite so bombastic, mainly acoustic based, although it's got it's got a lot of drums and guitars and all the usual stuff that gets in the way of the vocals. So,
Okay. Well, interesting to hear. We're looking forward to that. Well, good luck with the She shows coming up, and well.
Thanks very much.
Maybe we have a chat somewhere in the near future again.
Yeah, hope so.
Okay, thanks.
Where do we go from here? To return and crawl back home? Where do we go from here? Do we sit and wait for death to come? There are choices to be made, a strategy, a plan to be laid. These decisions may be hard, but the doubt lies in the choosing of the path.